What is going on, Headliner Nation? Welcome back. Next episode, Fantasy Headliners, joined by Kyle here once again. We're teaming up, Kyle. There were so many moves here over the past, week or so for NFL free agency.
Yes.
It's time for us to put together a list of some winners and losers.
Oh yeah, definitely. And some moves maybe surprised some people and some didn't surprise some people. I know I was surprised by a lot of them, some really good moves, some head scratchers. But yeah, there's a lot of people that came away in much better situations, and there's a lot of people that came away in, well, too bad I don't have a bleed button, because then I would say what type of situations those are now.
Yeah, bad situations, like super bad. But you know what? It came at a great time, right? Obviously, the country's going through a lot of stuff, and it was definitely a good time to have something else to talk about. Maybe that made some of the moves feel a little bit bigger than they really were, but there were some big names that are going to be in different uniforms. We're not going to be discussing all of those. We've done some recap videos. We've done some reaction type videos for some of those moves. So if you're looking for some of that, make sure as soon as this video is done, head over to the channel. Those videos are there. The main purpose of this one is just to highlight a few of Kyle and I's winners and losers just from free agency. We each have our own list, a couple of each, and we're not going to waste a whole lot of time because we're not trying to keep you here for the next hour, but we want to be as interactive as possible. So make sure if you have questions, if you have other names that you feel that would be on your list, throw it down below in the comment section. Also, real quick, before I forget, Kyle and I are throwing the idea out of doing a live show again at some point here in the real, distant, not so distant future. We wanted to, not distant, not so distant future. We don't want to just do it and be there by ourselves, though. We do these all throughout the season. If you're interested in a live show, put it down below in the comment section. Say, hey, yeah, I'd love to come hang out with you guys. We can quarantine and chill for a little bit, Kyle.
I like it.
I mean,
I like it.
I don't know what else to do at times like this. We'll hang out and just talk about whatever. It can be an AMA, ask us anything. But let's go ahead and get started off here with a few of the winners. We don't want to start off the losers. We're trying to, keep the glass half full over here. So let's highlight Kyle's winners, and we got a graphic we'll put up here on the screen. Kyle, the first one honestly makes me want to throw up in my mouth. It's disgusting, and I'm not even going to say the name. I'm going to let you go ahead and read it off.
I was wondering if you're just trying to move really quickly through this because you didn't want to talk about this guy very long.
I was hoping you'd forget about him.
If you have been a part of Headliner Nation for a while, you know that we have a hashtag here of hashtag say no to Rojo. Unfortunately, I feel like we may need to change that hashtag this season to, what did I say the other day? Hashtag.
I remember it, but I'm not going to tell you what
or something like that.
Nope, never Rojo. Nope, not going to happen.
No, we still have to make it through the draft. The Bucs have to make it through the draft and not take a running back. But Ronald Jones is a clear winner right now in free agency. And Jake, I even have a message for you that says I could end up being right. Okay, so I do have something to hold over your head for a while. We'll see what happens. But I don't love Ronald Jones any more than the next person, really. I'm not a truther by any means, but he's coming into a situation now where they didn't end up bringing in another running back, something that a lot of people thought they might try to do. I mean, if a running back goes to Tampa Bay, people are going to blow up and want to go after that running back. However, a running back didn't go to Tampa Bay, and I haven't really heard anyone talk about Ronald Jones that much since then. And this is a guy that can help in both facets of the game, on the ground and through the air. And they're bringing in Tom Brady, a guy that utilized a James White extremely heavy over the last few seasons. Now, will they do the same exact thing this year? I'm not saying that, but keep in mind their head coach, Bruce Arians, is a guy that really gave David Johnson his best career season, which included a lot of work in the passing game. So Ronald Jones could be on the up and up right now.
Well, there's one glaring difference, in my opinion, between James White and Ronald Jones, and that's that James White is good. Ronald Jones, to me, is not going to be the answer. There's no doubt they have to draft a running back. We know Peyton Barber is no longer there. Dare Ogunbala Walla Walla, or however you say his name, he's not the answer. They don't
Walla
trust
Bing Bang.
Whatever, yeah, Walla Walla Bing Bang. That's what we'll call him from now on. Perfect. That's a new hashtag. Put that on a t-shirt. But Ronald Jones, I mean, obviously we saw at times last year that Bruce Arians just didn't have the confidence in Ronald Jones. He was inconsistent from week to week as far as touches go. I can't imagine he's the answer. I don't want him to be the answer, but as of right now, the way it looks, yes, he's a free agent winner, Kyle, but that's the only time I'll use Rojo and winner in the same sentence.
I'm going to put a stamp on this right now. If Tampa Bay doesn't draft a running back, big if, he's a top 24 running back next year, at least a mid running back 2 in PPR leagues. Moving on, next up on my winners list, we're going to go with the Browns offense. They were able to sign Jack Conklin through free agency, the 10th highest ranked tackle according to Pro Football Focus last year. Came in with a grade of 80.6. But if you've watched our mock draft videos, okay, the very first mock draft video that you and I did, Jake, was when we talked about the Browns. I talked about them drafting a tackle, and the tackle I wanted them to draft was a guy that did very well in the run game, because I really think this offense is going to run through Nick Chubb next year and Kareem Hunt a little bit as well. So if you look at Jack Conklin, he goes from 80.6 overall to an 83.7 grade in the run game, which was 6 overall for tackles. So they definitely went out and got that type of offensive lineman that they really needed for this offense to take a step forward and not be nearly as bad as it was last season.
Yeah, 100%. We knew that offensive line at some point here in the offseason was going to be addressed. It was one of their biggest concerns going into the season here this year, is giving Baker more time and opening up more run lanes for Nick Chubb. Jack Conklin is arguably, in my opinion, one of the top signings in all of free agency here in the offseason. That's how much he's going to mean to that unit, to bring some toughness to that offensive line, to really give them something to continue to build around. Still a young team, and now they're so loaded on offense, they can really focus on the offensive line and defense all throughout the draft.
Yeah. And my final winner so far this offseason, or through free agency, is going to be Todd Gurley in the Falcons offense. Todd Gurley leaves a situation where, quite honestly, the Rams just didn't want to utilize him last year. And I don't know why it was. I mean, if they were planning on walking away from this contract anyway, then they should have used him up last season and ran him. I don't understand why they were so safe with him last year and why they didn't utilize him the way they have in years past. Well, now he's going to a Falcons offense that I 100% believe is going to utilize him in that type of way. I mean, look at the way Devonta Freeman was utilized in years past. Now, I don't want to compare those two because different schemes, different offensive coordinators, a lot of different things there. And it's been a couple of years since Freeman's really been that good of a running back. But Matt Ryan, a lot of the offensive weapons are still there. So this is a team that can still utilize them. And don't forget Austin Hooper. He's gone as well. So maybe that's a few extra targets there that could end up going over to Todd Gurley.
Yeah, 100%. I think what happened last year is the Rams were a little bit cocky maybe heading into the season, saying, we're just going to kind of save him first half of the season, picking up a little bit towards the end. We'll walk into the playoffs, no big deal. Well, that didn't happen because of, the San Francisco 49ers. Seattle was playing well at times. The Rams were kind of playing catch-up second half of the season, and that's where you really started to see the volume pick up for Todd Gurley, and he never really seemed to slow down when he got that extra work. Yes, he's got left knee issues, and they're not going away, but it seems like something he can manage, and falling into an opportunity with the Falcons where he doesn't really have to compete with anybody, it could be great. He's not going to be what he used to be, but he's still going to be a high-end, mid to high-end running back too for fantasy football.
Mm-hmm.
All right, can I go to some of my winners now?
Get it.
I got a couple. I got one more than you do. And one of them is hard for me to even say, but the first one is not. Why? I love the kid. It's Kyler Murray, and a lot of people have been talking about Kyler Murray all offseason, saying, hey, this is going to be the year that we see the big, jump forward for Kyler Murray, the second year in the system. Now he's added DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, a lot of people, ourselves included, said, hey, in the NFL draft, there's a good chance they go out there and get like a CeeDee Lamb. Well, they've kind of landed one of the best wide receivers in football with DeAndre Hopkins, and that can only help things out. Look at the weapons he has there now between Hopkins, Fitzgerald, Christian Kirk. Andy Isabella is a name that, he was a second-round pick last year that we didn't even hardly get a chance to see last year. Hakeem Butler's way back in the wings. I mean, there's some talented wide receivers, and now that we know they have Kenyon Drake back in the backfield, Kyler Murray is going to have every opportunity, especially with the Cardinals having the offense totally solidified, to focus offensive line defense in the draft, and this kid could put up some huge numbers.
Yeah. Now, I 100% agree. He is absolutely a winner. I'm taking a little bit of a slower approach with the Kyler Murray Arizona Cardinals hype, just because of what we saw with Cleveland last year. So, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, kind of similar in some facets, same offensive scheme coming out of college, all those different things. That being said, Baker Mayfield and OBJ just didn't click last year. So will the same thing end up happening this year with DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray? I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying I'm approaching it a little bit more cautiously right now, especially with everything going on and the fact that some of these guys might not get a chance to work together for a while with no OTAs or a shortened preseason, whatever it may be. I'm taking a little bit of a step back from that. So I'm being cautious, cautiously optimistic.
Be cautious, Kyle. Next one, Devin Singletary, running back, Buffalo Bills. There's a lot of rumors here in the offseason that even at one point it sounded like Melvin Gordon had a chance to go to Buffalo. Not only did they not add anybody there, doesn't look like Frank Gore's coming back. Devin Singletary, is he a workhorse running back? I can't say that yet. I won't be surprised if they add somebody else in the draft, but as of right now, he's the clear-cut number one in that backfield, and we saw at times last year, he doesn't need huge touches to get, some solid fantasy production. He's really efficient, similar to what we saw last offseason with Aaron Jones, where we came and said, hey, if this kid can get, 12 to 15 touches a game, he's going to put up some really solid numbers. Plus, his entire offensive line from last season returned this year. So there's that chemistry between them. I really like Devin Singletary as of right now.
Oh, yeah. Love Singletary. I was hoping all free agency that basically they would stay away from those bigger names and not get sucked into what that could potentially bring to the team. So, and when you got a new weapon on that team like Stephon Diggs, when you've got John Brown, those guys can obviously stretch the field. Cole Beasley in the middle of the field. That's going to leave a lot of room for Devin Singletary. Really love him right now going into 2020.
Yeah, definitely something to watch there for the NFL draft and see who they add at the running back position, if anybody. Next up, Adam Thielen. You just mentioned that Stephon Diggs is in Buffalo, so if Diggs is in Buffalo, that means Thielen's in Minnesota basically by himself right now. I mean, there was some inconsistencies at time last season. He could not stay healthy, could not stay on the field, but he's going to get more opportunities. There comes some good and bad with that. The good side of it, target share will increase. Bad side of it, defense is going to know where the ball is going. Luckily, they still have Dalvin Cook in the backfield, and hopefully that'll keep the defense honest. The defense was absolutely dismantled this offseason for Minnesota. They lost, key players all throughout the defensive side of the football. And in my mind, if they don't fill those holes properly, we could be playing a lot of catch-up games in Minnesota, and that just leads to throwing for 4 quarters and more opportunities for Adam Thielen.
Yeah, no, I think he is a winner. I think he becomes even more of a winner if they do invest in one of these wide receivers in this loaded class. So if they can get themselves a decent wide receiver to come in and kind of help take some of that pressure off. But, Irv Smith Jr. is still there. Kyle Rudolph is still there. You mentioned Dalvin Cook already. So they still have some good options there. But I would like to see just another dynamic wide receiver to kind of help them out, because I don't think they really have that outside of him right now.
No, I did a mock draft earlier when I was a little bit bored downstairs, and I put Jalen Reagor there as somebody to watch maybe in the draft, or somebody who could fall there towards the end of the first round.
You know how I feel about Jalen Reagor.
Oh, Kyle's tail's wagging. All right, last guy up on my list, and this one is temporary. I'm acknowledging this ahead of time. It's Jordan Howard, but as of right now, he's a winner because he's the starting running back of the Miami Dolphins, a much improved Miami Dolphins now. With all the picks that they have in this upcoming draft, it's not going to surprise me whatsoever if we see one of these big-name rookie running backs fall to Miami. I get that. But as of right now, Jordan Howard is in line for 200 touches behind an improved offensive line. As of right now, early March, Jordan Howard is a winner, in my opinion.
It's been a while since we could say that about him.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to even think about, and it's not going to last. This is temporary. I'm totally acknowledging that this is temporary, but Jordan Howard has some potential. What if they don't add? What if they say, hey, you know what? We're okay with Jordan Howard for the next year or two. He'll get us by, and then we'll fill other needs elsewhere. It's not like they don't have any other needs in Miami. There's other spots they can fill. Jordan Howard may not be overly efficient, but he's somebody who can eat up a bunch of volume.
Well, even last year with Philadelphia, even with Miles Sanders there, who was an extremely talented back, he still was able to contribute in some way, shape, or form. So I think you're going to see the same thing. Even if they do draft a rookie running back, this is a guy that could still score you some touchdowns, be a mid-round pick, maybe a late-round pick, depending on if they draft somebody, but some depth on your team to add, because he's going to have a role of some kind.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. All right, Kyle, we let off with the winners. We let off with the positive. The glass was half full. However, the glass is being tippeth over, and now we're talking about a bunch of losers. And I'm going to let you lead off with the loser bandwagon here. And we got a few names that may hurt some feelings for some people.
Well, I touched base with this on the last video that I did when Melvin Gordon signed with Denver, but Royce Freeman and Phillip Lindsay are obvious losers for me. No offense to either of those guys, because I like both of them. I like both of them. I was going to start singing some Smash Mouth. We're not going to do that here, though.
Everybody would leave.
Anyways, I'll save that for the live show. I'll sing on the live show. How's that sound?
Sounds horrible for me because I got earbuds in.
So with Royce Freeman and Phillip Lindsay, I mean, I was really thinking that this was going to be a backfield that took a step forward. And I know the Melvin Gordon name brings some excitement for Denver fans. It was kind of split a lot in the comments on that video too about whether or not they liked the signing or they didn't. I personally don't love it. I know they don't have a whole lot invested in it for next year. But still, with that being said, Freeman and Lindsay, I thought would do a fine job. Now, Melvin Gordon will be a much better blocker and will help in some situations a lot more than what these two would. But this is going to be just a timeshare. I mean, Lindsay and Gordon are going to get the bulk, and then Freeman is basically being pushed to the back of the line at this point. So, feel really bad for Royce Freeman because I think he's an extremely talented back. Just doesn't look like he's going to get an opportunity anytime soon.
No, absolutely. And I actually watched your video on Melvin Gordon, and you said one thing that really piqued my interest, Kyle. And I think I'm going to have to highlight it here again. One thing that people aren't paying attention to with Melvin Gordon going to Denver is playing all those games at Mile High. Mm-hmm. That's going to take some time to adjust to. I mean, players, when they come there and play those road games, they struggle with that altitude at first. This dude is used to playing at sea level for the most part. It's going to be a little bit different. Now, he's going to acclimate. It's not like he's going to go there and just totally suck balls. However, it may be one of those things where we see him kind of be a little bit of a slow starter here in 2020. But yeah, absolutely Freeman, Lindsay. I hate it because I loved Phillip Lindsay coming into the year. I thought that he was going to get a huge opportunity. And the story that he's brought with him has definitely, been something awesome to follow here in football the last couple of years, and he doesn't really deserve to lose work, but kind of understand it with Melvin Gordon coming in.
Yeah. My second loser so far this preseason for free agency, Deshaun Watson. I mean, obviously you have to look at the people around him now and just kind of shake your head. I don't think anybody agrees that the trade that the Texans made was even close to good or even or any other word that would make it sound positive, because it wasn't. It was an awful trade. I still don't understand it. I get why they said that they did it. However, not good enough for me. Awful return. With that being said, now you've got Deshaun Watson stuck with a Will Fuller, who's a walking injury, constantly injured. Not saying that I hate him in any way, shape, or form, but he's always injured. That's going to be an issue. Kiki, do you love me? QT, okay? He's had a lot of injury concerns. All these things, he just doesn't have that support around him now that he did. And this could potentially be the final year of his deal as well. So, I mean, he's going to want to play through it, but let's say he tweaks a knee. Let's say he takes a wrong hit while he's running. He could potentially sit back and say, I'm going to take a few extra games here. I don't really want to get back out there and get myself hurt because I could be getting myself a large payday coming up soon.
Yeah, absolutely. There wasn't no wholesale improvements on the offensive line. He gets hit continuously. We didn't even mention they added Randall Cobb, another injury-prone wide receiver. They brought in David Johnson in that trade. What has he struggled with the last few years? Oh, injuries also. I mean, literally, it's not Deshaun Watson who's going to be a loser. Fantasy-wise, yes, he is going to be, but this big old fat L goes directly to Bill O'Brien and the front office of the Houston Texans. They have not put him in a position to succeed, and I'm kind of hoping here that this is his last year in Houston. I want to see what he can do with a franchise that can really utilize the skill set that he has, because right now, honestly, he's turning into what Andrew Luck was just a few years ago. He's getting beat up every single year. They're not doing a whole lot to help him out, and the kid's just going to get fed up.
Yeah. My third loser, David Njoku from the Cleveland Browns. I mean, superbly talented guy. I mean, people have been buying into him because he's an athlete that can play the tight end position. A lot of people thought, oh man, is he going to be like the next Jimmy Graham type player? A lot of people thought that he could end up becoming that. It just hasn't turned into that. However, now they brought in Austin Hooper to an already stacked offense. You've got Odell Beckham Jr., you've got Jarvis Landry, you've got Kareem Hunt. I mean, you've got guys all over the place that can catch the ball. And now David Njoku is going to move to basically the tight end too. Really surprised that the Browns didn't end up moving him, but he's basically out of work right now as it is, because unless Austin Hooper were to get hurt, there's just no way that David Njoku is going to see anywhere near enough targets to be relevant in any way, shape, or form in 2020.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm hearing a lot that, hey, head coach Kevin Stefanski, he's going to run a lot of 2 tight end sets. Well, that's great, but there's still weapons all over the place that he has to share with. It's not like it's, a heavy 2 tight end scheme to where they are the primary, targets in those routes. They're not. Oh, and one thing that it does, maybe something to pay attention to, let's see what the health is of Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry entering the season. If any of those injuries and their recoveries are nagging a little bit, we could see a little bit more added production to start the season. But yeah, David Njoku just hasn't been somebody who's gotten enough volume to really be somebody that you want to target on draft day, at least as of right now. So he's definitely a loser. However, in my opinion, he's not as big a loser as the next guy on your list.
Because Mitchell Trubisky is the definition of loser.
Yeah, I mean, there was no Mitch magic in 2019. There was nothing. I mean, the only thing that you can say about Mitch Trubisky is, they brought in Nick Foles, right? It's going to be a battle to see who sucks less in Chicago is what it's going to be, because they both suck. And, I know Nick Foles has done great at times. Not trying to take anything away from him, but it is just a cluster in Chicago. What kind of team is that? There's no identity for the Chicago Bears.
No, there's none at all. And, I think it says a lot about Mitchell Trubisky for the Bears to go out and get Nick Foles. Yeah. And I think it's what a lot of people have been saying for a while now.
I don't know why they wouldn't have just gone out and gotten Cam Newton. I'd rather have Cam at this point than Nick Foles and Mitch Trubisky. But
I agree.
Before we talk too much about that name, let's get into my losers. And number 1 on the list is not just a single player. It's an entire fan base. We're talking about the entire fan base of the New England Patriots. They're free agency losers here in 2020. First off,
they got 35 thumbs down on the video.
We did. But they're probably pissed off just as much as, everybody else is. But think about it. First off, they had to wave goodbye to Tom Brady. And then they saw their core defense, who really carried them through times last year, the likes of Jamie Collins, Kyle Van Noy, Danny Shelton. They're all gone too. This is kind of just looked to something that was like, what is going on? Steven Gostkowski, their longtime kicker, he's gone. There's really nothing to be happy about in New England right now. It sounds like possibly Brian Hoyer may be their week 1 starting quarterback. He's going to be throwing the ball to Julian Edelman, and maybe N'Keal Harry takes a step forward. It just does not look promising. And with everything that they've lost here in just the past month, I kind of feel bad for the Patriots fans. They've had it great for a long time. Don't get me wrong. It's time for them to start feeling a little pain, I'm sure. But, man, they took it square on the chin here in about a week.
Yeah. No, it's got to be frustrating for them to watch, just because they've been used to, winning and great moves for so long now. The good news is they have, some decent draft picks for the first time in a while. But, this is a team that definitely could be looking at being closer to rebuilding than championship contending for a couple more years.
Are they tanking for Trevor?
I don't know if they could go that far. I just don't think that they could. I think there's a better chance that they hold off and they try to sign a Deshaun Watson if he can get the free agency.
All right, now 100% agree with that, and I would not be surprised. Heck, there's still some free agent quarterbacks out there. We'll get to 2 of them here in a second. But next up, we're going to talk about Carson Wentz as another free agency loser. And now I've just pissed off all of Philadelphia and New England. But, it's not so much Carson Wentz's fault. It's just, once again, here we went through the entire, free agency period, and a lot of big-name wide receivers moved all over the place. And what's one spot that Philly really needed help? It's at the wide receiver position, and he got nothing. He actually lost Nelson Aguilar. He lost more than he gained in free agency. They can't stay healthy in Philadelphia. It doesn't matter what the year is.
Is that addition by subtraction by any chance?
It's possible, because now that's less drops that wide receiving core is going to have. But, he's going to need help. And, yes, I'm sure they'll address that in the draft. But they had a perfect opportunity here in the offseason to try to lure away an Amari Cooper or something like that to give them that true number 1. Didn't happen. Feel bad for Carson Wentz. Plus, he lost his longtime starting left tackle, Jason Peters, who was one of the best tackles in football. He's going to be going somewhere else. now who's protecting the blind side of Carson Wentz? I just have a feeling that this may be another one of those years that Philly fans are going to come into the season energized but be disappointed once again.
Yep. No, agree. 100%. Tough offseason for them.
Tough offseason for you Philly people. Feel bad for you. A little bit, not a whole lot. Winston and Newman. Winston and Newton. That's how much it even matters. Nobody even cares what his name is anymore. But Jameis Winston and Cam Newton, the final two losers. Heck, you could throw Andy Dalton on this list if you want to. But technically, at least he still has a job in Cincinnati. He may not be the starter, but at least he's still under contract. Jameis Winston, he can't find a job anywhere. And Cam Newton was just released by the Carolina Panthers. And this is how bad it was for Cam Newton. His ex-coach, Ron Rivera, traded with the Panthers for Kyle Allen to go to Washington and not Cam Newton. Yes, there's more money involved there, but he would rather have Kyle Allen. Now Cam Newton, does he find a spot here in 2019? And I put it down here in the box. I don't know if any W's are going to be eaten here in 2020.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think it says a lot about two previous Heisman winners, two previous first overall picks. One guy has an MVP. Jameis Winston coming off, yes, a lot of interceptions, but a lot of touchdowns last season, a decent offensive season for him. And nobody wants him right now anyway. I mean, that could change by the time this video could come out. It could change in the next couple of weeks. But as of right now, nobody's interested in either of these guys in any capacity, which surprises me a little bit. But clearly, two guys that had starting jobs in 2019 might be fighting for that in 2020.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few spots out there that are looking for starting quarterbacks. I mean, obviously, we just talked about New England, the Chargers. I mean, right now they say they're going with Tyrod Taylor. But a lot of these teams that are looking for starters, we kind of have penciled in for rookies in the draft. Why would they go out there and pay this extra money for these veterans when they can get the cheaper rookie deals and have somebody for a few years? They're going to get a job somewhere. They're going to be signed. It's not like they're out of the NFL, but it's just a little surprising that names like this, like you said, former number one overall picks, just struggling to find a job.
I don't really have anything to add to that. That's where we're at with those two.
We're just like, whatever. I mean,
I can't paint a picture for either of those guys because it's just.
Like, my mom always taught me if I have nothing to say nice, don't say anything at all, and that's kind of where we're at right now. But hey, there's a lot of losers and there's a lot of winners here in free agency, and we just wanted to put a list together of a few of them. Obviously, there's more, and we want to be interactive with you guys, so put those other names down below in the comment section. Once again, if you want to hang out and quarantine and chill with Kyle and I live, put it down below in the comment section. Let us know that you'd be interested in doing that. We don't usually do live shows in the off season, but if it's what the people want, it's what the people will get. So, I mean, that's kind of what we're looking at right now. Me and Kyle will be doing a lot of other upcoming videos. We're trying to take the attention off of all the negativity in the world, hence the sign. We're trying to make sure that people have that outlet for just a few minutes, right? There's a lot of negativity in the world. There's a lot of crap that a lot of people are dealing with, a lot of hard times. If we can take your mind off of that for just a few minutes, make you laugh, make you smile, make you think about something different, that's what it's all about, and that's what we're going to try to accomplish here over the next few months, even though it's going to be difficult on everybody. But I'm looking forward to it, Kyle. Even though there's not a whole lot of sports to talk about, we'll figure something out.
We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get back to normal soon.
Yeah, we'll just wing it until the time being. But you know what? We enjoy it. We have fun doing it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. If you're new here, hit the like button. Consider subscribing to the channel. Got a lot of content. Go check out our channel and our website, also thefantasyheadliners.com. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you later.